A cold morning in the city. The sun had barely risen over the horizon, casting a soft golden hue across the city. The streets were still quiet, save for the distant sound of traffic beginning to stir. In a small, forgotten corner of town, where the buildings leaned in as if sharing secrets, lived a woman named Clara. Clara was not just any woman. She was a resilient soul navigating the harsh realities of life as a homeless individual. Clara was in her late 30s, with deep brown skin that glowed in the morning light. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun, revealing a face lined with stories of struggle and survival. Despite her circumstances, there was an undeniable strength in her eyes, a flicker of hope that refused to be extinguished. She had been living on the streets for over a year after losing her job at a local diner due to unforeseen circumstances. Life on the streets each day was a battle against hunger and cold, but Clara had learned to adapt. She had her routines, waking up early to find a warm spot in the sun, collecting discarded food from local markets, and seeking help from shelters when she could. The community around her was indifferent at best. People often walked past without a glance, lost in their own lives. Yet Clara found solace in small things. An old book she had salvaged from a trash bin, the laughter of children playing in the park nearby, and the occasional kindness from strangers who would offer her a cup of coffee or a sandwich. She often dreamed of having a home again, where she could cook meals and feel safe. The doorstep. On this particular morning, Clara settled into her usual spot near an abandoned storefront. She wrapped herself tightly in an old blanket she had managed to keep clean. The chill in the air was biting, but she focused on the warmth of the sun that began to rise higher in the sky. As she sat there, lost in thought about what she would do for food that day, something unusual caught her attention. A faint sound coming from nearby. It was soft, but persistent, like a gentle cry carried by the wind. Clara's heart raced as she turned her head toward the sound. A surprising discovery. To her astonishment, there was a small bundle lying on the doorstep of the old storefront next to her. Clara squinted against the sunlight and slowly approached it, her heart pounding with curiosity and concern. As she got closer, she realized it was not just any bundle. It was a baby wrapped snugly in a faded blue blanket. Clara's breath caught in her throat. She knelt down beside the tiny figure, her hands trembling slightly as she reached out to touch the blanket. The baby stirred slightly at her touch and let out another soft cry. Clara's heart swelled with emotions, fear, compassion, disbelief. Who would leave a baby here? She whispered to herself, looking around as if expecting someone to appear and explain. A moment of decision. The baby looked to be only a few weeks old, fragile and vulnerable. Clara felt an overwhelming urge to protect this innocent life. She glanced around again. There were no signs of anyone nearby, no worried parents searching for their child or neighbors peering out from their windows. In that moment, Clara faced an unexpected decision. She could walk away and pretend she hadn't seen anything, continuing with her own struggles as if nothing had happened. Or she could take this child into her arms and change both their lives forever. Her heart raced as she weighed her options. The world outside had been cruel to her. Could she really take on the responsibility of caring for an infant? But then again, how could she leave this child alone? The first embrace. With trembling hands and tears brimming in her eyes, Clara made up her mind. She gently lifted the baby into her arms and cradled it against her chest. The warmth radiating from the tiny body filled her with an unexpected sense of purpose. "Hey there," she whispered softly, feeling an instant connection as if they were meant to find each other at this moment. "I'm Clara, and I promise I'll take care of you." The baby cooed softly in response, as if understanding that help had arrived just in time. Clara felt an unfamiliar surge of hope, a feeling that perhaps life still held possibilities for both of them. A new beginning. As she sat on that doorstep with the baby nestled safely against her heart, Clara realized that this moment marked not just an unexpected turn in her life, but also an opportunity for redemption, for both herself and this innocent child who needed love and protection. With newfound determination coursing through her veins, Clara began to formulate plans for their future together. She knew it wouldn't be easy. Life on the streets was fraught with challenges. But for the first time in months, she felt like she had something worth fighting for, a reason to rise each day with purpose. Little did Clara know that this decision would ripple through their small town like a stone thrown into still water, changing perceptions and igniting compassion among those who had long turned away from hardship. The weight of responsibility. Clara held the baby close, feeling the warmth of the tiny body against her chest. It was a surreal moment, one that felt almost like a dream. The world around her faded away as she focused on the soft coos and gentle movements of the infant in her arms. She could hardly believe what had just happened. A life had been entrusted to her, albeit in the most unexpected way. As she looked down at the baby, a girl with a tuft of dark hair and delicate features, Clara felt an overwhelming wave of love wash over her. This child was so innocent, so pure, and yet here she was, left alone on a cold doorstep. Clara's heart ached for the little one, and she vowed silently to protect her at all costs. A name for the baby. With no one around to help or guide her, Clara knew she had to take charge. She needed to name this child. It felt like an important first step in claiming their new reality together. After a moment's thought, she whispered softly, "I'll call you Hope." The name resonated deeply within her, a symbol of new beginnings and the promise of a brighter future. "Hope," she repeated, testing it out loud. The baby gazed up at her with wide eyes, as if acknowledging her choice. Clara smiled through her tears, feeling an unbreakable bond forming between them. Finding shelter. Realizing that they couldn't stay on the doorstep forever, Clara looked around for a safe place to go. She knew there were shelters in town that could provide warmth and food, but would they accept a homeless woman with a baby? Doubts crept into her mind, but she pushed them aside. Hope needed care, and Clara was determined to find it. With renewed purpose, she carefully wrapped Hope in her blanket and stood up. Her legs felt shaky from both exhaustion and adrenaline, but she steadied herself and set off toward the nearest shelter, a place she had passed many times, but never entered. The journey. As Clara walked through the streets with Hope cradled in her arms, she noticed how different everything seemed now. The bustling city that once felt so cold and unwelcoming began to transform before her eyes. People rushed past them, but Clara felt a newfound sense of determination. Each step was not just for herself anymore, it was for Hope. She navigated through familiar alleyways and busy intersections, keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. The baby's soft breaths reassured her that they were in this together. Clara whispered sweet nothings to Hope as they walked, sharing stories about life on the streets and dreams for their future. Arriving at the shelter. After what felt like an eternity, Clara finally reached the shelter, a modest building with peeling paint, but a warm glow emanating from its windows. She hesitated at the entrance, anxiety creeping in once more. What if they turned her away? What if they judged her? Taking a deep breath, Clara pushed open the door and stepped inside. The warmth enveloped them like a comforting embrace. A few heads turned in their direction. Some patrons were seated at tables while others waited in line for food. At the front desk stood a middle-aged woman with kind eyes who instantly noticed Clara's presence. "Hello there. How can I help you?" she asked gently. Clara's voice trembled as she spoke. I found this baby," she said, glancing down at Hope nestled in her arms. "I need help." A kind reception. The woman's expression shifted from surprise to concern as she approached Clara slowly. "Oh my goodness, let me see her," she said softly. Clara hesitated for just a moment before handing Hope over carefully. The woman cooed at the baby and examined her with practiced ease. "She looks healthy. You did well bringing her here," she said reassuringly. "Can you help us?" Clara asked, desperation creeping into her voice. "Of course. We have resources for mothers and children," the woman replied warmly. "Let me get you settled." As they moved further into the shelter, Clara felt a mix of relief and apprehension wash over her. She had taken a significant step toward safety for both herself and Hope. But what would happen next? Settling in the shelter provided them with a small room where Clara could rest with Hope safely by her side. It wasn't much, just a cot with thin blankets, but it felt like paradise compared to sleeping on the streets. Clara laid Hope down gently on the cot and watched as she squirmed slightly before settling into a peaceful sleep. A wave of protectiveness surged through Clara. This tiny being depended on her now more than ever. After ensuring Hope was comfortable, Clara took a moment to collect herself. She sat on the edge of the cot and closed her eyes, allowing herself to breathe deeply for the first time that day. Tears streamed down her cheeks as relief flooded over her. They were safe, for now. Seeking support. As night fell outside and darkness enveloped the city, Clara knew they would need more than just shelter to survive long-term. She needed support, resources that could help them both thrive rather than merely survive. The following morning, after getting some rest, Clara sought out the woman from yesterday, the one who had welcomed them so kindly into the shelter. Her name was Linda. "Hi there," Linda greeted warmly as Clara approached her in the common area, where people gathered for breakfast. "Thank you for helping us yesterday," Clara began hesitantly. "I'm really grateful." Linda smiled back reassuringly. "You're welcome. We're here to help each other." "I need to know what resources are available," Clara said earnestly. "I want to provide for my daughter." A path forward. Linda nodded understandingly and gestured for Clara to sit down at one of the tables. "We have programs that can assist you with housing options, job training, childcare services. You're not alone in this." Clara listened intently as Linda explained various programs offered by local nonprofits aimed at helping families in need get back on their feet. "I want to work," Clara stated firmly after hearing about job training opportunities available through nearby organizations. "That's great," Linda encouraged enthusiastically. "We can help you find something suitable based on your skills." As they talked about potential jobs and resources available within their community network, everything from food assistance programs to medical care, Clara felt hope blossoming within her once again. A community of support days turned into weeks, as Clara settled into life at the shelter with Hope by her side. She made friends with other residents who shared similar struggles. Together they formed an unbreakable bond, rooted in empathy and understanding. Every morning began with breakfast, served by volunteers who brought warmth not only through food, but also through kindness, a stark contrast from what Clara had experienced outside these walls. With each passing day spent caring for Hope, while attending workshops offered by local organizations focused on job readiness skills, Clara began envisioning a future filled with possibilities, rather than despair. Embracing change. As winter melted into spring outside their window, symbolizing renewal, Clara embraced change wholeheartedly within herself too, learning new skills while nurturing both herself emotionally, alongside nurturing little Hope, physically became paramount priorities moving forward together towards brighter horizons ahead. Through every challenge faced along this journey, from sleepless nights spent comforting an infant whose cries echoed loneliness, to moments shared laughing together over simple joys found amidst adversity, Clara discovered resilience beyond measure, blossoming within herself, fueled by love shared between mother-daughter duo, growing stronger each day. A new routine. As the days turned into weeks at the shelter, Clara began to establish a routine that revolved around caring for Hope and attending various workshops. Each morning, she would wake up early, often before the sun peeked through the curtains. She cherished those quiet moments when she could hold Hope close, feeling her tiny heartbeat against her chest. After breakfast, Clara would attend workshops focused on job training and life skills. She learned about resume building, interview techniques, and even basic computer skills. The instructors were compassionate and encouraging, understanding that many of their students had faced significant hardships. Clara soaked in every piece of information like a sponge. In the afternoons, she would spend time with other mothers at the shelter, sharing stories and advice about parenting. They exchanged tips on soothing fussy babies and finding creative ways to stretch limited resources. This camaraderie helped Clara feel less isolated in her struggles. The weight of choices. Despite the support she received, Clara often found herself grappling with difficult choices. As much as she wanted to focus on building a stable life for herself and Hope, the reality of their situation weighed heavily on her shoulders. One evening, as she rocked Hope to sleep in their small room, Clara's mind raced with thoughts about their future. She had been offered a job at a local grocery store, a position that would provide a steady income, but required long hours. The thought of leaving Hope in someone else's care filled her with anxiety. "What if I can't find a good daycare?" she whispered to herself, looking down at her sleeping daughter. "What if something happens while I'm away?" Clara knew that taking the job was essential for their financial stability, but the fear of being separated from Hope gnawed at her heart. She felt torn between her responsibilities as a mother and her desire to create a better life for them both. Seeking guidance. The next day, Clara decided to seek advice from Linda, who had become a trusted mentor during her time at the shelter. After one of the workshops, Clara approached Linda with a heavy heart. "Can we talk?" Clara asked hesitantly. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Linda replied, sensing Clara's distress. "I got offered a job at the grocery store," Clara began, her voice trembling slightly. "But it's going to take me away from Hope for long hours. I don't know what to do." Linda nodded empathetically. "That's a big decision. It's understandable to feel conflicted." "I want to provide for her," Clara continued, "but I'm scared of leaving her with someone else." Weighing options. Linda leaned back in her chair thoughtfully. "Have you looked into childcare options? There are programs that can assist with affordable daycare for working parents." Clara hadn't fully explored that avenue yet. She had been so focused on securing employment that she hadn't considered how to balance work and childcare. "I can help you find resources," Linda offered kindly. "It might ease your worries about leaving Hope." Feeling a glimmer of hope at Linda's suggestion, Clara nodded slowly. "That would be great. Thank you." Over the next few days, they researched local childcare programs together. Linda provided Clara with contacts for organizations that offered subsidized daycare services specifically designed for low-income families. With newfound determination, Clara began making phone calls and scheduling visits. Finding childcare. After several interviews and visits to various daycare facilities, Clara finally found one that felt right. A small center run by a warm-hearted woman named Mrs. Thompson. The environment was nurturing and safe. Children played happily while caregivers engaged them in educational activities. Mrs. Thompson welcomed Clara warmly during their meeting. "We believe in creating a loving atmosphere where children can thrive," she said with a smile. Clara felt an instant connection as she watched Mrs. Thompson interact with the children. Her gentle demeanor put Clara at ease. "I want to make sure my daughter is well cared for," Clara explained earnestly. "I've never left her before." "I understand completely," Mrs. Thompson replied reassuringly. "We'll work together to ensure you feel comfortable leaving Hope here." After discussing schedules and costs, most of which were manageable due to subsidies, Clara left feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She finally had a plan that allowed her to pursue employment while ensuring Hope would be safe and cared for. Embracing change with childcare secured, Clara accepted the job offer at the grocery store and began working part-time shifts during the day while Hope was at daycare. The first day was filled with nervous excitement. She dressed carefully in clean clothes that had been donated by kind-hearted individuals from the shelter. As she walked into the store for orientation, Clara felt a mix of emotions. Fear of failure mingled with hope for a brighter future. Her supervisor introduced her to fellow employees who were welcoming and supportive. They quickly made her feel like part of the team. Throughout her shifts, Clara worked hard, stocking shelves, assisting customers, and learning everything she could about running the store efficiently. Balancing work and motherhood. The first few weeks were challenging as Clara adjusted to this new routine, balancing work responsibilities while ensuring Hope received all the love and attention she needed when they were together. Every evening after work, Clara would rush to pick up Hope from daycare, eager to hear about her day, even if it was just babbling sounds from an infant learning to express herself. "Did you have fun today?" Clara would ask playfully as they walked home together under the setting sun. Hope cooed back happily, as if understanding every word spoken, a bond growing stronger each day, despite their circumstances. Community connections. As time passed and Clara settled into this new rhythm of life, she began forming connections within both the shelter community and her workplace. At work, colleagues offered support by sharing tips on budgeting groceries or finding affordable clothing for children. Meanwhile, other mothers at the shelter shared experiences about parenting challenges. They exchanged stories about sleepless nights or milestones reached by their little ones, creating an unbreakable sisterhood among those facing similar struggles. One evening after dinner at the shelter, a gathering where residents shared meals together, Clara found herself sitting around a table with several other mothers discussing their hopes for their children's futures. "I want my daughter to have opportunities I never had," one mother said passionately. "Me too," Clara chimed in fervently. "I want Hope to know love and safety above all else." A turning point. As spring blossomed outside, the world around them transformed into vibrant colors, Clara felt renewed hope blossoming within herself too. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities for growth alongside little Hope, who thrived under nurturing care provided both by daycare staff as well as loving community members surrounding them all. However, a turning point came unexpectedly one afternoon when an incident occurred while picking up Hope from daycare. An unexpected encounter. As Clara arrived at daycare, excitedly anticipating seeing her daughter after work, a feeling of dread washed over her when she noticed two police officers standing outside talking to Mrs. Thompson, the daycare owner who greeted them warmly every day without fail. "What's happening?" Clara asked anxiously, approaching them cautiously, trying not to alarm anyone unnecessarily, yet concerned nonetheless. Mrs. Thompson turned towards her looking worried, but composed, saying calmly, "Everything is all right, dear, just some routine checks." But something didn't feel right. Apprehension bubbled beneath surface-level awareness, prompting questions swirling inside, mind racing faster than heartbeat, pounding against chest. Suddenly, one officer approached, directly addressing Clara. "Ma'am, we need your identification, please." Confusion clouded thoughts momentarily before responding appropriately, pulling out ID from wallet, nervously handing it over, unsure what this meant exactly. After reviewing documents carefully, the officer nodded, finally speaking again. "Thank you. We're just following up on reports regarding missing children in this area." A wave of fear. Clara felt icy fingers grip her heart tightly, as fear surged through veins like wildfire, consuming everything rational inside head. Missing children? What did this mean? Was there danger lurking nearby? "Is everything okay?" she managed, weakly, voice trembling slightly, betraying inner turmoil battling against calm exterior maintained thus far. "Yes, ma'am. No need for alarm," the officer assured quickly, noting visible distress evident across face. "Just checking all local facilities, ensuring safety protocols are being followed properly." Relief washed over momentarily, but lingering unease remained. What if something went wrong? What if they questioned Mrs. Thompson further, leading down dark paths no one wanted tread upon? Reassessing trust. That night, after returning home safely, holding little Hope tightly against chest, feeling warmth radiating through body, it became clear that reassessing trust placed within others was necessary moving forward, especially concerning those responsible caring for precious child entrusted solely into hands. Clara lay awake long after putting Hope down for bed, staring blankly, sealing lost thoughts swirling endlessly around head, unable to find peace amidst chaos unfolding outside world beyond walls surrounding them both. Determined not allow fear dictate choices made regarding future, she resolved, take proactive steps, ensuring safety always remained priority above all else, regardless how daunting journey ahead might seem. A growing sense of community. As the weeks rolled on, Clara began to feel a sense of belonging within the shelter and the community surrounding it. The initial fears and anxieties that had plagued her during those first days were gradually replaced with a growing confidence. She was not just a homeless woman. She was a mother, determined to provide for her daughter, Hope. Every morning, Clara would wake up early to prepare for her day. She would dress Hope in clean clothes, often donated by generous community members who understood the struggles of families like theirs. The small acts of kindness from others made a significant difference in their lives, and Clara felt grateful for every piece of clothing, every meal shared, and every encouraging word spoken. At work, Clara was becoming more adept at her tasks. Her colleagues had taken notice of her hard work and dedication. They often offered to cover shifts when she needed to attend to Hope's daycare schedule, or when she had appointments related to job training programs. This camaraderie made her feel valued and appreciated. The incident at daycare. However, the lingering unease from the police visit still weighed heavily on Clara's mind. She couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss at the daycare. Although Mrs. Thompson had assured her that everything was fine, Clara decided to take extra precautions. One afternoon, after picking up Hope from daycare, Clara noticed a group of parents gathered outside talking animatedly. Curiosity piqued, she approached them cautiously. "What's going on?" Clara asked, trying to gauge the mood of the group. "Did you hear about the missing children?" one mother said, her voice tinged with worry. "There have been reports in nearby neighborhoods." Clara's heart raced as she listened intently. "What do you mean? Are they connected to this daycare?" "We don't know," another parent chimed in. "But some parents are starting to pull their kids out just in case." The fear in their voices resonated deeply with Clara. She felt torn between wanting to protect Hope and trusting Mrs. Thompson, who had always treated them with kindness. Taking action. That night, after putting Hope to bed, Clara found herself unable to sleep. The weight of uncertainty pressed down on her chest like a heavy blanket. She decided she couldn't wait any longer. She needed answers. The next morning, Clara visited Mrs. Thompson at the daycare unannounced. As soon as she entered, she noticed that the atmosphere was tense. Several parents were speaking quietly among themselves, while children played in the background. "Mrs. Thompson," Clara said firmly but respectfully as she approached the daycare owner. "Can we talk?" "Of course, Clara. Is everything okay?" Mrs. Thompson asked with genuine concern etched on her face. "I've heard some unsettling rumors about missing children," Clara began cautiously. "I need to know that Hope is safe here." Mrs. Thompson's expression shifted from concern to determination. "I understand your worries completely," she said earnestly. "Let me assure you that we have strict safety protocols in place and conduct regular checks." Clara listened intently as Mrs. Thompson explained how they monitored visitors and maintained secure entry points at the daycare center. Yet, despite her reassurances, Clara felt an undercurrent of anxiety that wouldn't subside. Building trust. Over the next few days, Clara took it upon herself to get more involved at the daycare. She volunteered during playtime and helped organize activities for the children. By being present and engaged, she hoped not only to ensure Hope's safety, but also to build trust with Mrs. Thompson and other staff members. As she interacted with other parents during drop-off and pick-up times, Clara found herself forming connections with them as well, sharing stories about their children and discussing parenting challenges they faced together. One afternoon, while chatting with another mother named Sarah, who had a son just a few months older than Hope, Clara learned more about local resources available for families in need. There's a community center just down the street that offers free workshops for parents, Sarah mentioned enthusiastically. They have everything from parenting classes to financial literacy sessions. Clara felt a spark of excitement at this new information. It could be an opportunity not just for herself, but also for building a network of support among other parents facing similar challenges. Expanding horizons. The following week, Clara attended one of those workshops at the community center alongside Sarah. They learned about budgeting strategies and how to apply for grants specifically aimed at helping low-income families access childcare resources. As they sat together, listening attentively, taking notes and asking questions, Clara felt empowered by the knowledge being shared around them. It was a step toward building a brighter future for herself and Hope. Afterward, while enjoying coffee together at a nearby cafe, Sarah turned towards Clara saying, "You know, it's really inspiring how hard you're working for your daughter." Clara smiled shyly but felt warmth spread through her heart, hearing such kind words. "Thank you, I just want what's best for her." "You're doing an amazing job," Sarah encouraged further. "And remember, you're not alone in this." A community united. As spring blossomed into summer, the sense of community continued growing stronger around them all. Weekly gatherings organized by local nonprofits brought families together, creating opportunities for connection through shared experiences. Clara found herself participating actively within these events, from potlucks, where everyone brought dishes representing their cultural backgrounds, to family game nights filled with laughter echoing throughout community spaces. Through these interactions, she learned about various resources available beyond just childcare assistance, including mental health services aimed specifically at mothers navigating difficult situations while raising young children. A setback. However, just when things seemed to be moving forward smoothly, a setback occurred one fateful evening when Clara returned home after work, feeling exhausted yet hopeful about future prospects ahead. Upon entering their small room at shelter, a sinking feeling settled deep within gut, prompting instinctual worry. Something felt off. Hope was unusually quiet, laying still within crib staring blankly toward ceiling instead of babbling happily like usual. Alarm bells rang loudly inside head, prompting immediate rush over checking on daughter, who appeared lethargic. "Hope? Sweetheart?" Clara whispered urgently, kneeling beside crib, gently touching forehead. Noticing warmth radiating, indicating feverish symptoms present. Panic surged through veins as reality hit hard. This wasn't just another ordinary day. It was turning into something far more serious than anticipated. Seeking help. Clara quickly grabbed her phone, dialing local clinic number, frantically explaining situation, while pacing back and forth, anxiously awaiting response. "Bring her in right away," the nurse instructed urgently, assuring would be seen promptly upon arrival. With adrenaline pumping through body, Clara bundled up little Hope, carefully wrapping her snugly against chest, before rushing out into night air filled with uncertainty, looming overhead, like dark clouds threatening rainstorm approaching rapidly. Arriving at clinic felt surreal. Waiting room filled with other concerned parents tending sick children echoed familiar sounds, reminding everyone present how fragile life truly is, especially when caring for someone so vulnerable. After what felt like an eternity, a nurse finally called them back, ushering into examination room, where doctor awaited ready assess situation, thoroughly, ensuring proper care, provided swiftly without delay. The diagnosis: After examining Hope carefully, the doctor diagnosed her with a mild viral infection likely caused by exposure within crowded daycare environment. Nothing too serious, but still requiring monitoring closely over next few days, along with prescribed medication. Easing discomfort experienced throughout illness duration, expected ahead. Relief washed over Clara, hearing reassuring words spoken, confirming nothing life-threatening present. Yet lingering worry remained regarding how this would affect work schedule moving forward, alongside childcare arrangements, made previously ensuring stability maintained, despite unforeseen circumstances arising unexpectedly. Just keep an eye on her temperature, advised doctor before concluding appointment, providing necessary prescriptions, along with instructions outlining steps needed take during recovery period, ensuring comfort prioritized above all else moving forward. A new challenge. Returning home later that night, Clara felt exhausted yet grateful knowing they had navigated another hurdle together successfully. However, a new challenge loomed ahead requiring careful planning, ensuring balance maintained between work responsibilities alongside caring adequately for sick child needing extra attention during recovery phase ahead. The following day, after dropping off prescriptions at pharmacy nearby, Clara reached out, directly contacting grocery store manager, explaining situation honestly seeking guidance regarding potential adjustments made, allowing flexibility within work hours, accommodating needs presented due illness, affecting little hope, currently facing challenges ahead, requiring additional care provided consistently throughout recovery period, expected moving forward. To her surprise, the manager responded positively, expressing understanding, acknowledging difficulties faced by working parents, especially during times like these, emphasizing importance placed upon family well-being, above all else, ensuring support extended whenever possible, regardless circumstances faced collectively together, moving forward toward brighter horizons ahead, ultimately paving paths leading toward success, achieved collaboratively united together through shared experiences, faced a long journey, taken thus far. A time for healing. As the days passed, Clara dedicated herself to caring for Hope during her recovery. The little girl was still weak from the viral infection, but with each passing day, Clara noticed small improvements. Hope's laughter returned, and her energy gradually began to rise. Clara cherished every moment spent together, feeling grateful for the bond they shared. During this time, Clara also received overwhelming support from her community. Fellow mothers from the shelter and daycare checked in regularly to see how they could help. Some brought over homemade meals, while others offered to babysit so Clara could take a much-needed break. This outpouring of kindness reminded her that she was not alone in this journey. A new perspective. One evening, as Clara sat on the floor of their small room playing with Hope, she reflected on how far they had come. Just a few months ago, she had been lost and uncertain about her future. Now, she had a job, a supportive community, and a beautiful daughter who depended on her. "Look at you," Clara said softly as she watched Hope giggle while stacking colorful blocks. "You're getting stronger every day." Hope clapped her hands in delight, and Clara felt a swell of pride in her heart. It was moments like these that reminded her why she fought so hard to create a better life for them both. Facing new challenges. However, as Hope regained her strength, new challenges began to emerge. Clara's work hours at the grocery store were increasing as summer approached and business picked up. While she appreciated the extra income, it also meant longer days away from Hope. One afternoon after work, Clara sat down with Linda at the shelter to discuss her growing concerns. "I'm worried about how much time I'm spending away from Hope," she admitted. "I want to provide for us, but I don't want to miss out on these precious moments." Linda nodded sympathetically. "It's a tough balance to strike," she said thoughtfully. "Have you considered looking into flexible work options or even part-time opportunities?" Clara hadn't thought about that approach before. "I guess I could explore other job opportunities that allow me more time at home," she mused aloud. Exploring options. With renewed determination, Clara began researching job openings that offered flexible hours or remote work options. She updated her resume and reached out to local organizations that supported single mothers seeking employment. One day while browsing online job boards, Clara stumbled upon a position for a remote customer service representative with a company that valued work-life balance. Excitedly, she applied and prepared for an interview that would take place over video chat. In the meantime, she continued working at the grocery store while juggling Hope's daycare schedule. The support from her co-workers remained invaluable. They often covered shifts when needed, or offered to help with errands. The interview. The day of the interview arrived, and Clara felt a mix of excitement and nerves as she set up her laptop in their small room. She dressed professionally and practiced her answers in front of a mirror until she felt confident enough to present herself well. When the interview began, Clara found herself speaking passionately about her experiences, both as a mother and as an employee dedicated to providing excellent customer service. The interviewer seemed impressed by her determination and resilience. "I believe that my experiences have shaped me into someone who can empathize with customers' needs," Clara explained earnestly. "I want to create positive experiences for others while balancing my responsibilities as a mother." A new opportunity. A week later, Clara received an email that made her heart race. She had been offered the position. Overwhelmed with joy, she called Linda immediately to share the news. "I got the job!" Clara exclaimed breathlessly. "That's fantastic." Linda cheered over the phone. "You deserve it." Clara felt an immense weight lift off her shoulders, knowing that this new opportunity would allow her to work from home while being present for Hope during crucial moments of growth, like milestones in speech development or first steps taken. Transitioning roles. As she transitioned into this new role, Clara made sure to communicate openly with her current employer about reducing hours at the grocery store. They understood completely given circumstances surrounding motherhood responsibilities faced collectively together. With newfound flexibility, Clara found herself thriving both personally and professionally. Mornings spent cuddling with Hope before diving into work tasks became cherished rituals, strengthening their bond further. Building stability. As summer progressed, Clara continued building stability within their lives. Attending workshops offered by local organizations focused on parenting skills alongside financial literacy helped equip her with tools necessary navigating future challenges effectively. She learned how budgeting effectively could stretch limited resources, further ensuring every dollar counted toward building brighter horizons ahead, filled with possibilities awaiting exploration together. Meanwhile, the community support remained unwavering. Fellow mothers rallied around one another, sharing resources, from clothing swaps organized monthly to playdates fostering friendships blossoming among children, growing up together within nurturing environments, created collectively through love, shared among families, united against adversity, faced daily. A celebration of strength. As summer drew to a close, a community event was organized celebrating resilience shown throughout challenging times faced collectively. Families gathered at local park, sharing food prepared lovingly by volunteers, while children played joyfully, running around laughing freely, without worries clouding innocence experienced daily. Clara felt overwhelmed by gratitude watching Hope interact with other children. Her laughter ringing out like music filling air around them, creating memories etched forever within hearts surrounding them all. During speeches given by organizers, Clara listened intently as stories shared highlighted strength found within communities coming together, supporting one another through thick and thin, reminding everyone present how powerful unity truly is when faced against adversity encountered along journeys taken together. A moment of reflection. Later that evening, after returning home exhausted yet fulfilled, Clara sat quietly reflecting on everything experienced thus far. Moments spent overcoming obstacles faced alongside fellow mothers, navigating similar paths, illuminated by hope, shining brightly amidst darkness encountered previously. She glanced over at sleeping Hope, nestled peacefully against soft blanket, cocooned safely within crib. feeling immense pride swell inside heart, knowing sacrifices made ultimately led toward brighter futures, envisioned ahead, filled with love, laughter, joy shared between mother-daughter duo, growing stronger each day. In that moment, Clara realized life might still hold uncertainties ahead, but armed with newfound knowledge gained along journey, traveled thus far combined unbreakable bonds forged within community surrounding them both. They could face anything together, united standing strong against whatever challenges lay waiting beyond horizon, beckoning them forward toward brighter tomorrows, filled endless possibilities, awaiting exploration ahead. Embracing tomorrow. As dawn broke on another beautiful day, the sun casting golden rays across their small room, illuminating everything around them, Clara woke up feeling hopeful, ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited ahead. With determination fueling every step taken moving forward, she knew one thing for certain. No matter what obstacles lay ahead, they would face them together, hand in hand, creating memories cherished forever, a long way. Transforming lives touched forevermore. Through love shared between mother-daughter duo, navigating life's journey side by side, united against all odds, standing tall, embracing tomorrow filled endless possibilities awaiting discovery ahead.